reaction. What is your reaction, Miss?
So, look, I thought the Bruins kind of got, what's the right word? Embarrassed.
How about this specific incident with Pastrnak going out and fighting Tkachuk?
I don't like seeing Pastrnak out there fighting. I don't. He's like he didn't get his head kicked in, frankly. So now look, can someone else do it? I prefer it. I sort of abide by the older hockey rules in that. Like the skilled guys, stay out of the way, let the fighters fight. It bugged me a little that, and again, I put this in the email exchange, so forgive me if I get the timeline a little bit wrong. A lot of this went down after Maroon was gone.
All of it did.
Okay. So I sort of look at that and I'm like, I kind of look at Florida and go, is that a coincidence? Maroon leaves the ice and all of a sudden now what? All of a sudden it's free-for-all time? People are licking other people and all that?
Can someone please, as you would say, put a pin in that? I have to circle back to Pat Maroon being ejected and Cousins being ejected. I think it's a key part of the whole sequence, and I don't get it, and it pisses me off. So just mark that. I want to go back to it. Proceed.
Okay, and so that bugged me a little bit, but I will say this. Like, I don't want Pastrnak fighting. I don't. And I understand the emotional part of it and all that. He got to get his head kicked in. He looks like completely lost the idea of no gloves on, no helmet on, like, here I go. And I will tell you that in one sense, did I sort of say, oh my gosh, like part of me says, well, I give him credit for having the balls, and I do. But if I think it comes to that, they're going to get freaking planted. They are going to get planted. If it comes to Pastrnak fighting, they're cooked.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't expect him to fight. I do respect the fact he actually did do it. Again, when the camera then panned, I'm like, is that? Oh, it is. And look, he got bodied, and he definitely got some cheap shots by Tkachuk there. But I don't know. I respect it, but I am ultimately with you. I'm looking at him like he's going to break a wrist. Something's going to happen. He's going to fall. He's going to get hurt. I would ultimately prefer that he doesn't get involved in something like that, but that he did, I do respect the hell out of it. How can you not?
I mean, you heard Beersy. There. He's like, oh, what are we doing? Oh, what are you doing? Is what Beersy says in real time as it's happening. Oh, what are you doing?
Out at center ice, it's Pastrnak dropping him with Tkachuk.
What's he doing?
What's he doing?
Tkachuk a couple.
I don't blame Pastrnak. I don't. And I want to give him credit. I really do.
He tried.
And and even if he's, even if he's wrong, quote unquote wrong to want to do it, I still would rather him err on that side of it. Making a statement, answering the bell, whatever cliche you want to throw at it. Getting his teammates back, blah, 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 like all that. I'm into it. I want to give him credit for thinking that way and doing that. Should he be allowed to do it? I mean, it's a joke for him to fight Matthew Tkachuk. That's a joke. It's not a fair fight. That's not how those fights go. You square off with someone in your class. So he should have been chirping like Reinhart or Tarasenko or one of their, I can't tell you who their softest players are, but tell me who they are. And that's who he should have been tapping on the shoulder. He had Reinhart behind the net in the Montour Marchand scrum after, I guess it was the shorthanded scrum. He had Reinhart behind the net. He and Reinhart were going at it. That feels like your guy. Reinhart scored, 57 goals this year?
Yes, he did, right.
And so that's your guy. Matthew Tkachuk? What are you, stupid? Now, I don't blame him for being stupid. He's a hockey player. He's competitive. He wants to do the right thing. Good for you. Should someone have stopped him?
Yes, the coach or someone else. And again, like Tkachuk wants to go, someone else is going to say, no, you don't get him, you get me.
Right. So that's where I'm at. Somewhere between the coach or someone on the bench. Now, yes, by that point, the Bruins have had, I'll give you the exact number, 5 misconducts. Maroon was gone. Brazeau was gone. Frederick was gone. McAvoy was gone. Marchand was gone. Okay. So Maroon, Frederick, probably your top 2 candidates to take care of that business. They were gone. Someone on the bench. So everyone saw it coming because when they were at the scores booth there, at the penalty box, when the refs were meting out the penalties, I think for the Marchand, I'm just going to call that the Marchand scrum. Tkachuk and Pastrnak were having it out. They were chatting it. And you could see Tkachuk tapped him with the stick. It's like kind of a clear sign, like, you want to go? And I've gone back and watched it. You could read it. You could see the body language. Pastrnak kind of went, yeah, let's go. And then they had the great shots of Pastrnak on the bench, pretty much telling Montgomery. And Montgomery giving him the okay. Now, both Pastrnak and Montgomery have denied it. They denied it immediately after the game, as everyone does now, because of liabilities and lawsuits. And I think this goes back to the Avalanche coach. Is it Mark Crawford? He got sued because he sent someone out to beat the bag out of someone. He drove his head into the ice. Remember this incident? He got sued. So the coach is no longer, and no one will go a million miles around a coach ordering a fight or agreeing to a fight. The coach, no. So they all shut up on that. But it's pretty obvious when you look at the video that Pastrnak went to Montgomery and said, this is what I want to do. So between Montgomery or someone on the bench, did someone have to stop and get in the middle of that?
Yes.
I think so. And I would have loved to have seen, like, say, a guy that I look at. So here's a guy I look at is Charlie Coyle, who's not that guy either. I don't know if he's ever fought. Pastrnak has fought once, apparently. I don't remember it. And I don't know. Charlie Coyle's obviously not that guy. He plays a pretty, gentlemanly game. But did you see the goal that was scored where Keith Tkachuk immediately did a circle around Charlie Coyle and laughed in his face?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Coyle took his stick and sort of swiped at him with his stick. So that's where I'd like to see Charlie tap Pastrnak on the shoulder and say, I got this. That to me would have been better. Never mind Montgomery saying, no, you're not. Like, what are you doing? You can fight Reinhart, or we'll get Tarasenko out there. You can chase him down. You're not going after Matthew Tkachuk? What, are we stupid? So this whole thing about, like, it sets a tone, it gets his guys in. Really? Getting your ass kicked?
I thought it did the opposite.
Getting your ass kicked motivates people?
I mean, that's how I felt. I'm like, that thing, they had no chance of winning that fight. No chance.
I mean, it
Zero.
might. It might. I don't know. I can't predict the future. I hope it does, because Pastrnak sacrificed himself. Like, quite literally was a sacrificial lamb.
Absolutely.
Sent himself out there to get his ass kicked in front of the world. Center ice, game stopped, all him and Matthew Tkachuk. Like, what do you think is going to happen there? And then, like, this, and that part of me said the whole thing played into Florida's hands. It's like we joked that last regular season game when Hampus Lindholm decided to give Sam Bennett a jab. Oh my God, Bennett lit up. I've been saying, happiest kid in North America. You want to fight? I don't get it. Wait a minute. I get to beat the snot out of you and I'm not going to get an instigator? This is great. So, I mean, Tkachuk asks Pastrnak, probably thinking in the back of his mind, there's no way. And Pastrnak said yes. And the coach actually sent him out. I'm surprised they didn't have to blot out Matthew Tkachuk's erection. Never mind his dad. How excited do you think he was?
Oh, did you see him up there after the whole thing?
When Pastrnak said yes, I keep saying Keith. Tkachuk is probably like, oh, really? I could barely contain him. Happiest kid in North America. That Pastrnak, you really? Really? I get to smash you. I get to beat the crap out of you. And I don't get an instigator or a suspension or anything like that? What a gift. What a gift. So, like, I mean, I just find that, obviously, because we're leading with a fascinating part of that game. You know, part of me does like it on Pasternak's end. Part of me likes that the Bruins tried to do this stuff. And I feel like they lost every single engagement. I went back and watched them. The engagement behind the Florida net at around the 11-minute mark. This is when they did have some more guys suitable to handle it. Frederick was out there. Brazeau was out there. Forbort was out there. Van Riemsdyk was out there, who I don't put on the list, but that line was out there. By the end of it, I felt like all 4 or 5 guys were on the ice and Florida Panthers were on top of them. That's a slight exaggeration because Frederick got in a couple shots. But I felt like they lost. I mean, just look at the stills we got. Like Van Riemsdyk gets jumped. Brazeau ends up on his back inside on the outside of the net. Okay, and then you go to that other scrum after was it Montour who scored? I don't even care.
Yeah, it was Montour.
And then Montour sort of celebrated right in Marchand's face.
Give him the lick.
Marchand grabbed him around the neck, but then they end up in a tussle, and it ends up with Montour faking the lick, which is, a real embarrassing episode in Marchand's career that I'm sure he would love to live down. And the thing ends with Montour faking the lick thing on him, and meanwhile, McAvoy engages on 77. By the end of it, 77's on top of him. I feel like every engagement they lost, which, okay, that's the way you're built. I really do give them credit for trying. And I really do give Pastrnak credit for sacrificing himself like that. I hope it resonates with the team and they take up his lead and that leads to them coming back in the series. But it's hard not to think like, well, if you're going to do that, you should at least win one of those fights. And now it pisses me. Why was Maroon out of the game? And I was on TV when it happened, so I didn't know that Cousins got ejected. They both got misconducts.
They did. They tossed them both. Yep.
So I didn't know that at the time. At the time, I thought it was just Maroon. And so I thought last night in real time, like, did he call him a name? Did he do something? Like, and then they both went, and it's like, so what? Now why? Why? And now I'm yelling at the ref. You can't chirp? Is there a rule? Because I started to look at this. I ran out of time. Maybe, Kevin, hockey people know. Are you not allowed to threaten a fight on the ice? Is that now a game misconduct? If they hear you say, I'm gonna take you out, or if they hear you say, like, I thought I read somewhere along the way something like that. Like Maroon might have been given a misconduct earlier in his career for something like that, and he bitched about it. But so you threw out Maroon and Cousins for saying something? Now, short of anything racial or gender like that, that should get you thrown out. But if they're just telling each other to go F themselves or I'm going to beat your brains in, and that's why they got tossed, they barely touched each other. Why was Maroon thrown out of the game?
Did you have the audio up or no?
No.
Okay, so the reason I asked is...
Well, they didn't cover it live. They came back from commercial and said this is what happened. And the ESPN feed kept cutting out too, so you couldn't even see exactly what happened. Like it went gray, the screen.
Right. Yeah.
So I still don't even know if there was any real physical contact. There wasn't much that I saw. Was it just something that they said? But either way, why did they give out so many misconducts? And that put the Bruins at a disadvantage. Like, that's why Maroon's there. Maroon was there for those final 10 minutes.
Absolutely. That's why I don't think the whole thing was a coincidence. As soon as he was gone, all of a sudden it became a free-for-all.
Why did he get thrown out? Shall we be pissed at him? Shall we be pissed at the ref? Like, for chirping? Someone needs to answer that. I honestly don't know the answer. Someone give me the answer. What happened there?
Callahan said, if I remember this right, Callahan said that he just thought, and maybe it was the play-by-play guy. Ryan Callahan was doing the game.
Okay.
So he said that he thought it was an attempt on the part of the officials to say we're going to start to diffuse this thing, send people to the locker room so that it can't carry over.
In that second scrum I was talking about behind the Florida net, they did go to Dave Jackson or whoever their video analyst, their referee analyst. He said, oh, yeah, they're going to start handing out misconducts like chiclets or whatever he said. But the Maroon thing happened before.
Right.
So I'll show you the Bleacher Report video that I just found. Maroon went over to Cousins, grabbed him by the collar against the glass. So that might be why.
But that's it? That gets you 10 minutes now?
Pretty standard.
What did Cousins do? So, like, that pisses me off. That's why Maroon's there for those final 10 minutes. And so they weren't fair fights. They didn't look like fair fights. And what a mess. What a bleep show that game was. Horrible. Never mind how they played and how it went down.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger and Mazz here. For more Bruins analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.